Hello, Whiskey folk. Hello, Patreon folk. How are we all? It's good to see you all in. It's good to see so many of you coming to hang out for what should be a quieter session, right? The lock-in. Welcome to the lock-in. Pull up a seat and let us know what you've been sipping. I know you've probably already done that because a lot of you have been in for ages, but I was doing my usual last-minute thing and running around getting ready at the last minute. I appreciate this is a wee bit of a short notice lock-in because I was trying to work out what would be the best Thursday to do it, the middle Thursday towards the end of the month or this one, and I decided just to grab the opportunity and see who was up for hanging out on a Thursday night. So it's fantastic to see you all. Lots of things to share, bits and pieces here, bits and pieces there. But there's another reason I wanted to do it early in the first week in the month as well, and that is a lot of you might have joined the live stream that I had last Thursday night. It was quite amazing. There was a kind of notification came in that somebody had joined as a patron, and I just kind of mentioned that I'd had the notification coming in, and it started a little flurry, and I went from about 140, 142 patrons, somewhere of that order, to more than 150 in that one live stream. It's quite amazing, wonderful thing to happen. I really do appreciate all your support. It's fantastic. But I wanted to kind of just celebrate that kind of little mini milestone. I'm often really humbled by how many of you want me to keep doing these streams and keep making videos and support me. I'm very, very grateful to all of you. Let's just say hello to a lot of you guys who are in tonight. I can see, I've been chatting for ages. I mean, this chat's been live for the last 2 hours. I tried to wind back to see how long it'd been going for, and it hit the buffer. It's been going for a while. Dwayne is in. Dwayne, good to see you, my friend. He's saying hello, Ryan. I'll say hello right back, Dwayne. I know you must be close to finalising your plans for April, right? Caskmate Matthias is in. Good to see you, Matthias. Rico is in. Welcome in, Rico. I think this is your first lock-in. It's fantastic to see you here. Carl is in as well. Good to see you, my friend, as well as James Hope. Good to see you, buddy. I got to hang out with James Hope for almost an entire day at the Old and Rare last weekend, or 2 weekends ago. Arbaggy is in. Andy, you're still here. Arbaggy is saying, dude, water. Are you telling me I need water? I'm looking a wee bit tired. What's the water message, Andy? Good to see you, my friend. And I think you're coming up for the Fife. Is it an echo, maybe? Am I sounding watery? You've thrown me out. You're coming up for the Fife Festival as well this weekend, Andy, so I'm looking forward to seeing you as well. The Doc is in. McAllen Fine and Rare, good to see you, buddy. Jay Chung is in. Kilted Moose Scott, fantastic. Bart Malt Chronicles. Mikey Hay, superb Mikey. Arbaggy, I've mentioned it. Marcus Kreitner. I wonder, is Christina next to you tonight, Marcus? I'm going to guess she is. Hello, Christina. Good to see you. Toby Field is in. Good to see you, Toby. Just put out a couple of videos as well, Toby. You've been testing yourself and sharing it on YouTube, some of your blind challenges. I saw one, you did a Glenfiddich one and a Glengoyne one, I think. Quite fun, and it's quite difficult, isn't it? Jimmy Jazz, Jim is in as well. Fantastic to see you, Jim. Jonathan Flowers, the Whiskey Dram. Now, the Whiskey Dram, I always get confused between the Whiskey Dram and Dram Session. Trying to remember your name. Remind me. Good to have you in, Whiskey Dram. Phil is in from California as well. Fantastic to see you, Captain 3D. Karen is in. Superb, Karen. Good to see you. Service Elafis, that's Andreas. Good to see you, Andreas. Nice to welcome you in. My friend Aaron McFault, who I'll also see at the Fife Festival on Saturday. Good to see you in, Aaron. You're coming over from Belgium. Tomorrow, I think you're travelling. Nick Keane is in. Good to welcome you in, Nick. This is your first lock-in. Who else do we have? Donald Rance is in. Good to see you, Donald. Christine Deems, fantastic. Jez Batty is in. So many of you, 32 of you in, and it's fantastic to have you all. Juan Quintanilla is in. Fantastic, Juan. Good to see you. Apologies if I've forgotten anyone. I should be able to catch most of you tonight. in a quieter stream. So let's see if Andy has... Andy, you're drinking it. You're on water tonight. Well, that's because you're coming up for a whiskey event this weekend. So you're probably taking care because you're probably going off to have a couple of sessions with JJ, right? Cheers, Andy. I am sipping a sample that came to me from Phil at Causeway Coast Whiskies. When he came over, I met with him a couple of weekends ago, and he brought over this fantastic Cadenhead's Rosebank. And Rosebank is very, very difficult to come by these days, so I was very glad to receive that sample from him. It's a 1989 9-year-old, 58.8%, and it's quite delicious. It's very buttery. There's a slight fustiness to it. We say fusty. It's kind of that old, damp, dusty smell and taste. But lots of light spice. A lot of it probably from, put a wee bit of water in it, probably from the high ABV. So there's lots to share. Not just the fact that I have 150 of you supporting me now. It's absolutely fantastic. I just can't imagine. Now, of course, Toby's saying thanks for taking the time to watch my videos, right? Not at all. Toby, the problem that I have is, honestly, is that there's so much content out there. You know, there's so much videos being produced just now by the creators that I've followed for a long time. And then there's lots and lots of new channels coming along and creating content as well. And it's really, really difficult to find the time. But when I do have the time, I just kind of go into the home feed on YouTube, and your videos popped up there. And I guess because I've subscribed to you recently, or most recently, it's popped up at the top, and I was able to grab a couple of them. But I'm really struggling. I used to run a watch later playlist, and I was just adding so much stuff to it that it became a big monster, and I couldn't even touch that. So it's just kind of, it's got to be videos that grab my attention, or whiskies that I'm interested in, subjects, topics that I'm interested in. It's really difficult to keep up. You guys must be feeling the same. There's so much, and a lot of it is very, very good whiskey content. Let's try and keep up with the chat tonight. Dwayne is saying just a couple more distillery tours to book, and I'll be ready for April. I think you're doing more than Isla this time, though, Dwayne, right? Kilton Moose Scott. You're going down to the Newcastle Whisky Festival at the weekend, Scott, aren't you? I don't think you're going to make it to Fife, unfortunately. Jez is saying yet to try Rosebank one day, hopefully. Well, I mean, it's certainly difficult right now to try it because of, you know, there's no really accessibly priced Rosebank anymore. But it's really quite nice stuff. Talking of Rosebank, did anybody see my cameo appearance in the Ralphie video? At the Old and Rare show, I was sitting with James Hope at the table, and James had a Rosebank on the go. He had a Flora Fauna Rosebank, and gave me a little sip of it. And as we were sitting there, James and I chatting, I turned around and said hello to Ralphie, but he was mid-flight. He was recording at the time. And he came over and he hunched down next to us at the table. And this little segment of us chatting together made it into his extras video. So I can say I've arrived on the scene. I've appeared in a Ralphie video. It was kind of fun. It was really fun. And I got to spend a bit of time chatting to Ralphie a wee bit later as well. He was very gentlemanly, and spent a bit of time talking about YouTube and talking about the scene and the community and all that kind of thing. And he was very curious to hear about it all. It's quite interesting to speak to him. Kilton Moose is saying Newcastle next weekend, can't make the Fife Bash. I know there's so many clashes. There's so many whiskey events to go to as well. Bart is saying yes. So you saw the Ralphie video. It was kind of funny. Dwayne is saying all 8 Isla distilleries: Glengoyne, Auchentoshan, and Clydeside. Wow, you're going to do the Glasgow ones as well. Fantastic. And Karen is saying great cameo. Yeah, it was quite nice, and it was nice that he caught me quite early in the day when I was still very fresh, right? Cheers, folks. Slanchava. I want to do the draw tonight. Mikey Hay, you sneaked in right at the last minute. I got a notification that came through that you'd entered the draw for the Glengoyne. So the Glengoyne, it was part of our practical, let me talk about this. Lots and lots of people are asking me about this kind of whiskey course, this whiskey school thing I went to. There's a kind of whiskey industry veteran called John Lamond. And he's been working in whiskey since the 70s. I think he started off back in the day. I think he was working for Bell's. And before that, he was working for Dewar's up in Perth. And he's had various roles in the whiskey industry. And now he does evening courses for industry people, people that work in the on-trade, bartenders and things. And it's open to enthusiasts and people like myself as well. So I went along. It was an 8-week course, Monday evening in the Good Spirits Company in Glasgow, 2 hours at a time. And it covers all the topics that you would imagine: whiskey production, history, marketing, definitions, structure, ownership, all very much focused on Scotch. It only very, very lightly touches on world whiskies. It's a very Scotch-focused thing. Anyway, the exam was Monday. I passed. You'll be glad to know I passed. I have a certificate here. Everybody passes the course. I don't think there's a specific mark that you have to hit. I've got my marks here. I'll share with you how I did in this 50-question exam. It was multiple choice, which made it a wee bit easier, a bit like the Aquavitae quiz at the end, right? But there was a blind tasting as well. There was 3 completely blind whiskies at the end, and you had to try and guess the region. And there was significant bonus points available if you could spot the whiskey. Very glad to say that I did very well at the blind tasting at the end, although one was a Glenmorangie 10. I picked that out as a blend. Tasted very light on the night. So the Glenmorangie 10 I missed. I put it down as a blend. Obviously, he was looking for Highland, so I lost points on that. And I lost points, I guessed it was the Cato's blend. But the second one was a Dalmore 12, and I spotted that straight away. It was obvious, being what Dalmore is, unfortunately. And there was also a Lefroy. The last one was a Lefroy. So fairly, fairly obvious ones to pick out. But it's amazing. Blind tasting is difficult to commit and convince yourself, and then you second guess and talk yourself out of it again. But I got 2 out of 3 in the blind tasting. Anyway, you want to know how I did on the score, right? I was, I think, 4th out of the class, joint 4th. The people who came 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, Sam from the Good Spirits Company, she came 1st. She got a great score of 49, I think. That's not out of 50. I think it was out of 55 or 53. 53, I think it was out of. The maximum points you could have got is 53. And the guy who came 2nd was Chris from the Potstill. Great guy. Did very, very well. He got 48. And also on 48 was Alex, who also works in the Good Spirits Company. So as an enthusiast, I'm really quite pleased at 47. 47 out of a potential 53. Now, before you judge, do you remember the last lock-in that we did together, and you kind of wanted a quiz? And what I did is I just improvised and I did the Cork quiz. I don't know how well it went down. It was a bit of fun. I didn't have a quiz prepared. Well, tonight I've got a quiz prepared for you if you want to stay to the end. And in the quiz are the questions I got wrong in my exam, to see if you guys do any better at it, and I'm sure you do. I looked back at the questions that I got wrong, and I was very, very frustrated and annoyed with myself, especially since at least 2 of them are questions that have been in this, or it's been in the VPub quiz at the end. So I was a wee bit gutted. Ben Marnick is saying, how much is it? And is it value? Did you learn much? I learned a bunch of stuff. Everybody you meet and everything that you do in whiskey, you can learn stuff. And I'm constantly finding myself in company in whiskey company of people that know a lot more than I do. which is really, really cool because you always learn something. So I learned a bunch. I learned a lot. And at the question of value, it was £110 for an 8-week course. There's nothing to talk about. It's fantastic value, but that's not the best of it. The whiskey I'm sharing with you tonight, or the whiskey I'm going to give away tonight, and it comes in this cool little presentation box. I was going to put a sticker on this, like an Aqua Vitae sticker or something, but I don't want to. You won't be able to peel it off. I'll maybe just put a wee clear sticker on the cardboard wrapper or something. But I've put a wee Aqua Vitae sticker on the bottle here, just to kind of, let's see, even pull the camera. Yeah, you can see that, right? But this is part of a blending practical course that we did at Glengoyne, and tourists can do it. It's one of these things you can sign up for and do. But it's an £85 tour, and it's included in the £110 for the 8-week course. I don't know how he does it, but Mikey Hayes saying the Cork quiz was great. So I don't know how John does it, but he does it, and it's fabulous. And it's a very nice atmosphere in the class as well. All the whiskey that you try up to 6 whiskies a week, by the way, as well. After you've done your learning, we do a kind of tasting thing and an appreciation thing as well. And with about, I don't know how many people are on the course, maybe 20 or 30, let's say. 20, I think. So there's usually about a half bottle left, and he just asks questions and gives the bottles away as well. And I came home with 4 out of the 6 weeks, maybe 5 out of the 6 weeks, actually, I came home with a bottle answering questions. It was fabulous. If you can get to Glasgow and do that course, get in touch with me, send me a direct message or an email, and I'll give you John's details because he'll be doing another course again after summertime. Andy is saying he's off to bed because he's up early. Have a good show and see you Saturday. Good night, Andy, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the Fife Festival on Saturday, my friend. Sleep easy and rest well. Jez is saying you should challenge James Hope tonight for a quiz. No, James and I had a chat about the quiz. We're all good about the quiz. James is a brave man. Is he still in? Are you still in, James? McCann Final Rare is saying, so it's a blended malt, right? No, this is a single malt. I made this at Glengoyne. So what you have is you have 5 bottles of Glengoyne. I've got the details here. We had a hogshead in front of us, or let's say a bottle filled from a hogshead, a 2004 hogshead. We had a 2004 barrel. So we had that was an American oak barrel. Then we had an American oak puncheon from 2000, European oak puncheon. So puncheon has obviously held sherry in it before. A European oak puncheon from 2001, and also a 1998 European oak puncheon. And that one was very, very dark and very rich. Quite a lot of nice, strong, bitter sherry spice on it. So when I go to Glengoyne, I usually head towards the bourbon style to take home this kind of thing, because Glengoyne's a sherry distillery, and I like to kind of taste the bourbon matured Glengoyne. So I would normally choose bourbon. So this bottle, I went heavy, heavy, heavy on the sherry. And in the end, in the glass, I had the 3 different kinds of sherry together. It was quite nice. But when I added just a wee bit of the bourbon cask, and it made a huge difference. It just sweetened it out. I don't know what it was. I can't tell you what made the difference. But in the end, I topped this off with just a wee bit of bourbon, and the details of what I've put in the bottle is in there as well. So I know that a lot of you entered. If anybody wants to enter for this draw and you haven't entered, you need to shout now. This is your last chance. It's obviously only open to patrons, so you have less competition to grab this tonight, although there are 53 entries already. 53 of you have entered. So I'll seal this off. I'll put a better seal on this, and I'll be able to hopefully get this to most destinations. Unfortunately, if you're Canadian, you've got next to no chance. I've got a better chance of getting this into North Korea than I have into Canada, unfortunately. It's just the way that Canadian customs are. It's very, very difficult. Sevi the Alchemist is saying, I hope you got my message, Sevi, that that thing we've been talking about, we might be able to help each other out on, so we can talk a wee bit later. But he's saying he's all over that course after the summer. You need to do it. And after you've passed it, you can go on and do an advanced course. So I'm keen to do the advanced course now as well. Rico's saying it's such a shame not to live in Scotland and are not able to take part in the cool stuff. Yeah, I bet you it's pretty cool where you are as well, though, for lots of things, Rico, as well. You have to remember that nobody comes to Scotland for a suntan, right? It's just as an example. James Hope is saying, can I enter now? Yes, of course you can, James. I'll stick you in. So if anybody else wants to stick their name in, I'll draw that just as soon as we're up together. The Aquavite Frankenstein blend. Yeah, I suppose I have to name it. I have to call it something. Before I ship it out, I'll call it something. Maybe try and take a wee Instagram picture and things and announce the winner and stuff. I don't really like doing that, though, because when I do that, you know, I would have to talk about it being like a Patreon giveaway and things. And, you know, I don't like to look like I'm overselling or trying to sell or force patrons to come and join. So if I was to say, oh, look at what my patrons got, you know, not everybody can afford to be a patron necessarily. Not everybody has signed up to Patreon. Not everybody knows or understands or cares what it is. So yeah, maybe what I'll do is I'll take a picture and I'll just share it with patrons, and we'll come up with a name for it as well before I ship it out. Donald is saying, too true. Not only have you got to deal with federal laws, but then provincial laws are beyond draconian. I know. Now the states have the same kind of provincial or states, individual state laws and things like that, but they seem to be a bit more laid back about shipping. Juan Quintanilla is asking to be added. No problem, Juan. I like these more laid back streams. Do you know that? I like it when it's just you guys. I just feel like I know you all now. I can be a wee bit more. I have to be careful I'm not sloppy though, right? I like it being a bit more laid back, a bit more informal. But I still need to make an effort for you. In fact, it's arguable that I should make more of an effort. So that course has been fantastic. It's been great fun. Don't know what my Monday nights are going to involve now. Probably family time, of course, and a chance to catch up on all the projects that I'm so behind on. The Glenroy Goyne, Macallan Fine and Rare. There you go. It's named the Glenroy Goyne. The Glenroy Goyne. Nice one, Doc. It surely is a lot more quiet. Well, 38 of you. I mean, that's pretty fantastic. My first ever live stream had 37. My first ever live. If I go back and see it, I kind of look like a rabbit in the headlights. Sometimes still do. Donald is saying that's because the provincial governments actually have a monopoly on the distribution of all spirits in Canada. Yeah. It's a wee bit claustrophobic, isn't it? It seems from the outside. And Jimmy Jazz is saying, oh, what the hell, add me in too? No problem. I didn't realise you weren't in, Jimmy. No problem. Toby's saying, I did a Chivas blending recently. My personal blend is a mix of 6 single malts and a single grain whiskies from the Pernod Ricard family of Scottish whiskies. It's great fun. It really is good fun just to play and then to be able to take away a souvenir. And I guess by the time that this lands at its destination, the whiskey in this bottle will have had time to marry a little bit. But at least one of the sherry casks in this was a showstopper. It was very difficult not just to fill the bottle up with 20 CLs of that, but that wasn't in the spirit of what we were doing, right? Jez is saying, please add to list too. No problem, Jez. You guys have got to shout if you want added. Oh, the Alchemist is saying Glenroyne was my suggestion. Did I miss that, Glenroyne? Amy's in, fantastic. Late as usual. Hello, friends. Don't worry about it, Amy. I guess you're at least 5 hours behind us, maybe even 6, right? So don't worry about it. It's great to see you and welcome. Amy, I noticed that you haven't entered, neither you or George has entered the Glengoyne giveaway, so now is your last chance. If you want to put your name forward, please let me know. I should be able to ship it to the States, I'm hoping. Listen, guys, I'm going to attempt to ship it. It might be one of these things that we attempt to ship and it gets intercepted at somebody's border somewhere. But I think it's worth a try, right? It's a bit of fun, and I would like to get it to you. There are some people coming over from the States, traveling backwards and forwards. So it might be that if we're nervous about it or whatever, somebody is willing to be a mule for me and ship it once they get back to the States. I don't know if that's any more legal, but there might be a way to get around it. Caskmate is saying, am I on the list? Yes. I'm suddenly insecure. You're second on the list. Well, before the list is shuffled, that is Matthias. You're second. I think, ooh. Maybe I did shuffle this list. Let's do a check. Command find cask. Yes, you're definitely there. You're definitely there, Matthias. No worries, my friend. You're in. Add George and me. No problem. Okay, I think we need to call this now, right? I think we need to call it. So obviously what normally happens, if I do a public draw, all patrons, depending on the tier, get extra entries in. So, you know, I just put your name in twice, or so you get an extra entry for a ambassador, 2 extra for disciple, 4 extra for evangelists, you know, just to give patrons extra bonus entries for the public draws. But this is just a flat level playing field thing. Everybody just gets a single entry. McCallum Finer is saying, add my mum. Absolutely. If your mum's a patron, tell me who she is and I'll be happy to enter. And Era is saying, is that your new t-shirt design? No, it isn't, Era. This is actually, it's inspired by me, which I'm really, really chuffed about. But my friend David, who is the Urban Pirate, designed this t-shirt, and before it was released, he gave it to me, gifted me the t-shirt at the Whiskey Club. And I said, oh, this is exact, and he said, I know, it is inspired by you. And him and I have since talked about a potential collaboration on t-shirts. And the reason for that is that my t-shirts overall were a success. I'm very happy with them, but it was a bit tricky to manage logistically. They were expensive. I covered my costs and I ended up making a wee bit on them, but the intention was to make a bit more. And I wondered, it kind of made me a bit nervous about doing t-shirts in the future, because I think £20, once you get up to, I know a lot of t-shirts are more expensive than that. But once it gets more expensive than that, I think you're asking a lot of people. So I wasn't sure what to do about t-shirts going forward. And then the Urban Pirate and I started to talk about a potential collaboration where he could print my t-shirts for me and sell them through the Urban Pirate. But also maybe he wants to do a take on my thing and do an Urban Pirate style aquavitae design as well. So it's all up in the air. Nothing's tied down. How we manage it and things like that. But what do you think about that? Do you know Urban Pirate? This is an Urban Pirate print over my shoulder here. This is printed on some kind of banana paper. It's really cool. So there are no two prints the same of this kind of bottle design, but that same bottle design goes onto a t-shirt as well. You might have seen me wearing in the past, and I've worn quite a few different Urban Pirate t-shirts in the past. I like his designs. I like the vibe of what he does. And of course, the fact that it's a Glasgow-based local company as well, I like to support. And the guy is also a member of the Glasgow Whiskey Club and a whiskey head as well, which is why he does all the whiskey designs. I grabbed some random samples. Let me give you a tip. When somebody gives you a sample, if they've not labeled it and put their name on it, do it yourself and do it quickly. Because I have a bottle here that's been handed to me by someone who's really excited about this whiskey. They gave it to me because they loved it and they wanted me to try it. And clearly I have absolutely no idea what it is. I have no idea what I'm pouring here because it was a long time ago. I have a drawer full of samples now. Just pour it all in. I have no idea what it is. Christopher David, good to see you in. Christopher, he's saying sounds like a good idea on the t-shirts. Is this your first lock-in, Christopher? Fantastic to welcome you. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a way that if he could take care of the logistics. But the reason I haven't gone for Teespring and Spreadshirt and things like that is I feel a wee bit removed from it. I like to kind of control the feel and the quality and the yeah, I'm a bit probably over controlling on that. Rico's saying the bottle print is sold out. I think I don't know. I spoke to him about will he release any of his designs. I really like the raw spirit design that he did as well. And he said that he kind of likes the idea of once they're gone, they're gone. But some of them are so popular and he's getting pestered by so many people that he might bring back some of his previous designs. Okay, I think we're good on the Glengoyne. I haven't missed anyone, have I? Okay, good. I think we're good. I think we'll go and draw this Glengoyne so we can get on with the rest of the things, okay? Let's have a wee look. So we'll just do what we always do here. I don't know if you can see the numbers and things here, but let's see if I can do this properly. Highlight it, randomize it. On my wife's machine, and it works a little different from mine. Okay, it's randomized. And now we can see there are 59 entries. Just check the chat. 59 of you, okay. Okay, good luck everyone. Somebody's going to get a nice bottle of Glengoyne blended by me. And if I close my eyes and think about it long enough, I can still taste it. It's delicious, even if I do say so myself. Oh, Michael Finery saying it's in alphabetical order now, Roy. Good spot. I'm glad I'm checking the chat. Well, let's mix it up. I didn't hit randomize then, did I? Okay, thank you for that, Doc. I've just hit randomize. And it's no longer in alphabetical order. Okay. Okay, here we go. Drum roll, Bart, you're absolutely right. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 0 and 60.
A random number between 0 and 60 is 44.
She says 44. So I'll click back. I'll scroll up now. I'm not sure if you can see 44 on that. Maybe you can. Can't on my screen. I hope you can on yours. I can see it over here. 44 is James Hope. James. If I'd done it 2 weeks ago, I could have given you it and put it in your hands. Ah, well. And you just entered today as well. Well done, my friend James. Congratulations. You've grabbed yourself a very nice Aquavite blend, or let's call it the Glenroy Goyne. So there's no issues with customs and things and shipping. I'll be able to seal this up in a nice bit of bubble pack and get it down to you in the southeast. Congratulations, James. Well done. That means you'll be able to share it with quite a few, actually, because James is a member of the London Whisky Club, and so many of the members of that club are not only followers, but patrons of mine as well. Jez, Connor, Shiv, Mikey Hay, of course, Jason Whiskey Wise. Fantastic. Congratulations, James. Well done. Pop it in its wee bed. The box got a wee bit scuffed in my bag, but it's not bad. Patina. Let's not call it scuffs. Let's call it Glen Groin. It's getting better. The Glen Groin. I did tell everybody about the samples or the present that I got from, just pull up the camera here so that I can, these 3 little bottles of Westland American oak, sherry oak and peated that I got from Jessica, Patron as well. Fantastic. Really, really nice little gift to receive. I haven't opened them and tasted them yet. I'm waiting for somebody that's a fellow appreciator that I can share them with. And Mikey Hayes saying, I was going to share it with the club too if I won. Has James said that you will share it? We'll share that with the club. Thanks so much. There should be enough. It's a 20 CL, so what's that about? About 8 grams? Should do okay out of it, James. Superb. Okay, let me tell you some exciting news that kind of took a wee turn today, so we're still not very sure. Scottish Test Dummies on a live stream recently. They put out a live stream just to say thank you to everybody for the fundraiser and to shout out all the people that had supported. And can I just say, I was really touched because it was a very emotional thing anyway. It was emotionally charged that night. I really feel it for the guys. I got to speak to Scott and Bart a few times since, and they're struggling. I mean, their friend's struggling. He's battling through. He's obviously a very brave guy. He's got bags of dignity. The whole thing was very, very emotional and very, very cool. And the guys came on and did a live stream and they wanted just to thank everyone. And they shouted out everybody that had sent across donations and things. And I was really touched as they were shouting it out of just how many of them were you guys. And I'm not just talking about followers and supporters and patrons of the channel, but people that I know and have met and have spent time with you sent money to that cause. And it was really, really awesome. Anyway, during their thank you show, they let the cat out of the bag a wee bit that we're planning a gig together in May. You guys have been asking me for quite a long time to come up with something, to come up with an event, to do some kind of gathering. I do get requests for that quite a lot because obviously the community is building, and the reason it's so much fun for me, and I think for you guys as well, is because of that community. And it is nice when you have the opportunity to bring that into real world events. So I'm always up for that, absolutely. We got an invite to Waterford Distillery, and those guys have offered to fly us out there, not to kind of promote them or to, they don't have any product yet. They haven't even bottled any whiskey yet, but they're doing lots of experimental things. They're doing a lot of terroir things. They're doing a lot of provenance things. They're doing a lot of barley experiments and things. And they want to share it because they think that if they can find audiences of people who are, you know, into whiskey, let's say a bit geeky about whiskey and things like that, they think that what they're doing out there needs to be talked about and shared. And not many producers are reaching out to us in that way, and they've offered to fly us out there. Originally, the idea was that we would all go to Ireland and meet up together, but I think that dilutes the experience for Waterford. I don't think that's what they're after. And also, I think the timing might be difficult and it might be a bit more claustrophobic. My suggestion is that the guys, Scotch Test Dummies, when they come over, they do their own thing. They have their own time with Waterford, and then they tack on a trip to Scotland, and that's what those guys were thinking about doing as well. I think it's a wonderful thing. If that happens, I want to get venues sorted out. I want to get at least one venue, at least one day, one night that we can kind of all have an opportunity to meet up together. I've got some ideas. I don't want to say anything just now, because what happened is that it was scheduled for kind of second, third week of May. It was going to hover around somewhere to early middle of May. But it came a wee bit unstuck today just with scheduling conflicts. So we still can't nail it down, and I can't really share anything until flights have been booked and things have been booked on the back of that and are planned. Jez Batty's just shared a write-up of a trip. I'll just show that. It's been hidden. Great write-up of his trip to Waterford Distillery here on a blog. Kieran Hammond, Whiskey Club London. Fantastic. So I'm going to just copy that link just now. I'm going to open a window so I can read that a wee bit later, Jez. Thank you for the share. I don't know if that'll work, actually. Let's see if I can just do a straight click on it. Wonderful, wonderful Waterford. Yes, it's come up. So thanks for that, Jez. I'll get a chance to have a wee look at that a bit later. Yeah, so what do you think of that? More review. Jason's in saying he's never heard of Waterford. Nice one. What do you think of that? Would that be something you'd be interested in attending? What kind of event would you like to see? Would you like to see a structured thing, like a tasting hosted? And I'll be talking about, obviously, myself along with Scott and Bart, the three of us doing it together. I think that could be a lot of fun. I've already got some ideas what I'd like to do. I won't share anything just now because it's all up in the air. The structured thing would be limited in numbers. What I would like to do is, if we do a structured thing, a tasting or whatever, is have a venue that we can all just kind of go and gather and meet up, just a big handshake and share a drama event somewhere before the guys go off into the wilderness and do their tour. I've put together some ideas for what they should do while they're here, what we should do together, how we can share that with the community in terms of recording and live streams and things like that. James Hope is already saying it sounds amazing. He would definitely attend. Kilton Moose is saying, I'm in, as you know, some structure, but then add more social event. Absolutely. Dwayne Large, darn, I'll miss it by a few weeks. You might end up missing it by more than that, Dwayne, because the May thing has kind of slipped a bit. Mikey Hayes saying, one of our members, Kieran, just had a great trip to Waterford. He wrote a blog post about it, which went live this morning at Whiskey Club London on the news page. Fantastic. I'm going to read that and I'll share it with Scott and Bart as well, because they're excited about their trip as well. Those guys have never been to the UK, I believe. They've never been to Ireland, certainly, and they've never been to Scotland. And obviously they're very, very excited about it. Ben Marnock is saying, whatever you do with Scott and Bart, count me in. Buckfast and Haggis, Glasgow-a-thon. Yeah, there's lots of things we could do, Sevi. And Mikey is also saying he'd love to attend. I mean, if you go to a normal tasting at the Good Spirits Company, it can hold about 30 people, 32, I think. There are other venues that you could probably do more than that, but I think that's kind of a nice number. But we'll wait and see. It's all about timing. I'm really excited about it, though. I think it could be amazing. Karen is saying, definitely think a dram gathering would be great, like Dramboree. Everyone brings a bottle to the table to enjoy. Tricky getting a venue, perhaps. Yes, it's tricky getting a free pour venue. But what we could do is, yeah, I don't want to say too much. I've got some ideas. Whether we can pull it off or not, whether it's going to be up your street or not, I don't know. But I think it could be a great opportunity for you to meet Scott and Bart. I've met so many of you, but there's so many of you here that I've yet to meet, and I think that would be fantastic. Are you interested in staying around till the end of this tonight to take the quiz and see if you're any better at all the questions that I got wrong? Oh, I don't think this is Scotch. Anybody recognise this wee skinny bottle? There wasn't a label put on it. There was a little brass cap. It's a mini bottle. There was a brass cap on it, but I've dropped it on the floor when I opened it. But it was given to me without a label on it. I don't know if it was shipped to me. But it tastes, to me, like non-Scotch. got a slight acetone hint to it. It's quite rich. It's quite nice. It's quite tasty. It's a wee bit like quite a dark coloured and rich Irish whiskey. Jez is saying first or second week, you can do it. Third and fourth, the London Whisky Club events planned. There's inevitably going to be clashes. We just need to do the best we can. Okay, good. The Fife Festival is obviously coming up on Saturday. I'm looking forward to that as well. That was a really nice festival for me last year. There was a nice kind of feel to it, a nice relaxed, laid-back vibe. The Glasgow Whisky Club put on a bus. They're doing the same thing this year. We go up in a bus together, so there's a nice chat and things in the bus as well. And while there was drams getting shared, there was maybe one or two very well behaved. We all turned up nice and fresh for the festival, and it was the first time I got to meet Jason and Ardbaggy, Andy. Could have talked to those guys for hours while I was there. It was really cool. But they ruined the festival for me because we were, I don't know, a couple of hours in, 2.5 hours in. And they brought along a 1973 Old Pulteney. It was absolutely staggeringly good. And after that, there's really nothing else you can have at the festival, right? You're kind of stuck. So we went along to Louvian's, the retailer that's just a few hundred yards down the road. We spent a bit of time and money in there. I picked up a Klein Leash 8687, the last one that they had in stock. And Malt Review Jason is saying, Andy is staying at mine again, Roy. I know, he's already told me that he is. So you're going to probably have a nice time chatting about probably just whiskey if you're anything like me. I'm suddenly feeling like if I'm called upon to speak about anything other than whiskey, I come up a bit short. Donald Rance is saying, it's something I've wondered for a while. What has been your impression of Canadian whiskey, and what ones have you tried other than the Lot 40 cask strength? Really, really very few. Rob sent me a couple. Whiskey in the Six Rob has sent me a couple. I've tried the obvious ones, Crown Royal, things like that. Nothing's grabbed me. Nothing's made me want to kind of return and go back. And I get the impression people joke about the fact that Canadians keep the best stuff inside Canada. It's probably a lot to do with their draconian customs, and export's probably just as difficult as import, right? But yes, I'm not familiar with Canadian whiskey at all. So yeah, it's something to explore, but I'm finding that even if you stick to one style or one genre of whiskey, you're already spoilt for choice. And Scotch is just really, really difficult to keep up now. And it's nice to stay in touch with world whiskies and to try them and to keep that contrast going. But it's difficult, isn't it? Now, Sebi's saying he saw the email from the club about the Fife Festival. Gutted, can't go. But yeah, but Sebi, you've got a brand new baby at home as well. It's the way it's going to be for a little while. I'll try and explain it to you as vividly and lucidly as possible, and you can live it vicariously through me. That's the best I can offer, my friend. Scott, obviously, he's got a few Canadian whiskies. I'll get you a couple of samples. You're a star. Actually, there's a sample that you offered me earlier this week that I'm going to take you up on. I think that one of your samples, Scott, would go very, very well in the blind challenge I'm putting together for Daniel Whittington at the Whiskey Vault. So I won't mention what that is, but I'll contact you about it directly, and I'll maybe try and grab it off you over this weekend. If I can do that, I can get it shipped out to them fast. And Donald is also saying, I'll try to get you some samples, since it's easier to ship out of Canada than into. Yeah, I mean, I think I've had things shipped to me here from Canada, and it's arrived no problem. This isn't Canadian. This reminds me, we sour not there as well. This reminds me of the chestnut finished Method and Madness Caskmates. Wasn't Caskmates, was it? No, it was just called Method and Madness Chestnut Cask. That's what this tastes like to me. It's what it reminds me of. But of course, that sample that I had, I think I got that from, that might also be from Phil at Causeway Coast Whiskies. He sent me that. But I think there's a good chance that I was sent it from someone else as well. It could be, or it could be something completely different. Like I said, a good tip, please label samples. Not just what's in the whiskey, but who it's from, who you are, so that, you know, people can be reminded where the sample came from if they're a bit rubbish like me and they forget. Jason Coates is in saying, "Hey Roy, sorry I'm late. Unfortunately, Jason, it does mean that you were left out of the draw for the wee bottle of Glengoyne. It's already been drawn. James Hope was the winner, but it's nice to have you in, Jason. I'm glad you could join, and I don't mind that you're late, not even a wee bit." Wonderful opportunity last Tuesday night. I was out for the Whiskey Club, left the Whiskey Club quite prompt. Felt a wee bit bad about that because it was a really nice night, nice company, having some really nice whiskies. I was actually sat next to Karen, who's in here tonight, and we were enjoying some fantastic whiskies at the Glasgow Whiskey Club. But I had the opportunity to meet up with Vin from No Nonsense Whiskey. He was in Glasgow, actually, coincidentally, on a Glengoyne event. And I kind of felt like I'd gate crashed that event, unfortunately. But I went along and Vin walked into the pot still, and it was amazing. A guy I've worked with, and we've talked and talked and talked for the last 2 years. And then I finally see him walking into, you know, the pot still in Glasgow, right? It was just fantastic. So the two of us we were in this group of hosted company from Glengoyne, Amy from the Birmingham Whiskey Club and things, and a couple other people, and a couple of hosts from Glengoyne. And they actually bought us a couple of drams. They bought me a Tamdhu batch strength, actually. Very nice of them. But obviously, Vin and I just wanted to talk about this, our community, our stuff, our YouTube things, and all of that. And we were getting quite carried away. And suddenly it became less about Glengoyne and more about Roy and Vin. And I felt a wee bit guilty about that. But it was just a really rare opportunity to hook up with Vin. But it was an absolute pleasure, and really nice guy to hang out with. And as I mentioned in the Instagram post, he's quite a bit taller than you imagined. He's almost as tall as me. I didn't expect that. I don't know what it was. He looked, maybe it's because he's younger than me, significantly younger than me. He looked a wee bit, I considered that he might be shorter. James Hope is saying, "Did you ever pick up the Lechik 19PX? Interested to hear your thoughts. I'm loving it right now." We had a Tobermory, or was it a Lechik? Karen, at the Whiskey Club, what did we have? What was the Palo Cortado one that we had, the 5th dram last Tuesday night? Was that a Lechik? No, it wasn't. It was Tobermory. Palo Cortado finished Tobermory. It was absolutely stunning. It was my dram of the night. It was up there with the Longrow Red, which was the 6th dram of the night. But I knew that everybody was going to vote for the Longrow Red, and I wanted to give this Tobermory some support because it was just so good. Absolutely delicious. That was a great photo of you and Vin on Instagram. Yeah, you saw that, Dwayne. It's a really nice moment. Nice kind of, because you're always a wee bit nervous when you meet somebody that you've spent so much time collaborating with, right, and working with. There's no chemistry, that you maybe just don't click when you meet up. But there was nothing like that at all. We're just gassing away and chatting away and things. Karen is saying, "Swapping Glasgow Whiskey Club for Vin is very acceptable." Thank you, Karen. Thanks very much. Yeah, it's not like I'll see you guys on Tuesday coming. Actually, it's Wednesday. Oh yeah, it's Wednesday this week. Yeah, I get to see you guys all the time, but Vin is a Blue Moon event, right? Yes, but do you remember what the 5th dram was? I'm certain it was Tobermory, Palo Cortado, and it was gorgeous. So yeah, the PX one I haven't tried yet, James. Have you tried it? Oh, you're sipping it right now. You're loving it right now. I mean, it's great whiskey. It's great whiskey, and it's great value just now as well. Really is. How are we getting on for time? I'm always a wee bit nervous that when I haven't structured things, that I'm just a wee bit too laid back, right? Toby Field is saying you did the same pose with Sid. The height difference was noticeable. Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't. But that pose is. I do that with most people. I've done it with. You'll see posts with Shelton, Sid, Vin, Daniel Whiskey Throttle. it's kind of just become a thing. And maybe the likes of Dwayne and things like that, when we hook up again in April, or Quig's coming across and later in March, and we'll just kind of get more and more of that kind of thing going, and just kind of play on the fun of the fact that we're meeting up, and try and play down just how excited we are to actually meet each other eventually. And Karen's just put in an Instagram link for the Tobermory. My Whiskey Brain. 12-year-old Tobermory, Palo Cortado. It's absolutely gorgeous. I didn't know it was only 12 years old. Usually I'm quite good and I take photos, but I didn't take a photo from the Whiskey Club that night. Who's My Whiskey Brain? Thanks for that, Karen. Cracking whiskey. Okay, let's see what I can pour next. I'm going to pour something I had from Rob, Whiskey in the Six. Have this glass of urines. Samples are collecting with me just now, and it's difficult. It's difficult to find the time to get through them when I'm buying so many bottles for the channel out of my own personal interest and things like that. The samples that are coming in, I'm struggling to get to them. When we used to have Whiskey Wednesdays and things, and I used to have a lot of people come into the house to enjoy whiskey with, I would get through whiskey much quicker than I am just now. And it's slowing down a wee bit, or either that I'm buying just far too much whiskey and still not getting through it. This is a Springbank 12-year-old Burgundy cask. You might recognise this from a release. Was it 2 years ago the Burgundy cask came out? I think it was 2 years ago it came out. 53.5%. I have tried this before, but I'll share a confession that I didn't love it. But I bet you, with how much I'm enjoying wine finished whiskies right now, that I'm probably have changed my mind. But I've poured just half of this sample into the glass just now. Give it a wee minute. It smells. Imagine you've dropped some boiled medicinal sweets into seawater. Marcus is saying, okay, lovely whiskey folk, I'm off to bed. You're an hour ahead of us, Marcus. Thank you very much. I didn't even spot if you'd mentioned that Christina was in. I'm off to bed. Early morning as usual. See you next time. Already looking forward to it. Thanks for dropping in, Marcus. Shame you're not going to be about for the quiz, because it's good fun tonight. You get to see all the questions that I got wrong in my exam. I don't know what to make of this. It is, for a Springbank, it's not appealing to me on the nose. There's almost a fish note to it as well. Not that that's bad. I mean, I've had that before. Glen Scotia 15 is, I always seem to pick up smoked salmon from that, and I love Glen Scotia 15. Okay, let's have a wee. It's definitely Springbank. Yeah. I mean, it's very, very different, Dram. Very different. The wine cask thing is just so forward, though. And I think I remember that was why I didn't love it so much the last time I had it. But I've got enough of it tonight to play around with a wee bit of water. And at 53.5%, it should take it quite well, right? So let's give it a wee scoosh. Okay. I'm an hour in. So I don't want to go too long tonight. I just wanted to share a few things with you. Obviously, one of the other things that is close to being able to celebrate as well is the fact that I'm just about to hit 8,000 subs. That's kind of cool. I don't really focus too much on subscribers because to me it's more about the interaction that you get and the impact that you're having. You can have 100,000 subscribers and only have 5,000 active or whatever. I'd rather have 8,000 subs and have you guys as active as you are. And there is an argument that the channel is starting to get to the size that it's probably hitting its sweet spot. It's at a nice size. And yes, you want it to grow, you want it to do well, you want it to be successful. And I appreciate this is chat that I would only kind of have with patrons, right? You want it to be successful in things, but at the same time, you don't want to kind of lose a lot of the connectedness, a lot of the interaction, a lot of the community. That's that sense of connected community that we have. And I think that becomes more of a challenge for me as the channel gets a bit bigger. Having said that, I'm very, very grateful for all the subscribers and the people that take time to watch, like, comment, subscribe, all of these things. It's wonderful. Okay. So what else have I got to share with you? I've done the Glengoyne. I've talked about samples. I've shared with you my score at the Whiskey School that I'm very proud of. Very happy. And yeah, I'm excited to see what happens in the coming weeks with regards to, hopefully May, might slip out to June, but the Scotch Test Dummies coming to Scotland will be, I predict, my whiskey event of this year. Be really, really excited about that. Now, we don't have Jason to manage the quiz for us tonight. It would only be me managing it myself, but there's not many of you in. There's 35 of you in. Which is fantastic. 35 of you to join a Patron exclusive stream is amazing. 35 and a lock-in. And that might drop a wee bit by those of you who are not interested in the quiz. But I think the curiosity of seeing the questions that I get wrong, some of you might be a wee bit disappointed with me. Donald is saying, any chance of an Irish whiskey themed quiz this month? Well, I did, last year I did an Irish themed VPub for St. Patrick's in March. And I talked about coffee. I talked about his invention, his continuous still. I didn't go into too much detail. I talked about the taxation on barley, malted barley and things, and how that created the category of single pot still Irish. Which obviously includes unmalted barley as well. I talked about all of that. And I wondered if I'd kind of used up all the wisdom I had to share on Irish whiskey. And I think that what happens when it comes to St. Patrick's Day is literally everything you touch has suddenly got an Irish theme, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. But I don't know if I was inspired to bring anything unique to St. Patrick's Day. But the next live stream is hopefully going to be on the 14th. That's kind of when it's penciled in just now. I've not scheduled it or announced it because my wife's birthday is on the 14th. And there is an opportunity there that maybe if we do something on the Thursday night together, that I maybe move it perhaps again to the Sunday. But I also want to just quickly give you a wee heads up of a very, very exciting thing that I'm barely able to keep in. There is a collaboration being offered that could happen this month, but it would probably mean it has to be a Saturday night stream. And I can't say anything about it. I'm sworn to secrecy, but it would be a great fun thing to do, and it would be a great opportunity. The only downside is that it would be, George is saying, need to pop out. Cheers, everyone. Great shirt. Thank you very much for dropping in, George. And you can pick up this shirt, by the way. This is a Water of Life Aquavita. It's nothing to do with the channel, but it's from Urban Pirate. I'm sworn to secrecy, but it's a great opportunity for me to do it, and I would jump at the chance to do it. The only problem is it's going to be a Saturday night, so if you're free on a Saturday night, I think it's more than likely 90% going to be the 30th, Saturday the 30th. And it would be a stream to turn up for. That's all I can say just now. And Dwayne is saying that is great, Roy, to host Scott and Bart. I won't have it any other way. I've told them I'll chauffeur them everywhere. They were my Scotch Test Dummies Uber when I was in the States, so I need to return that favour, and I'll do it gladly. I will be their Aquavitae Uber when they are in Scotland, and I'll take them in any direction that they want to go in, and help them. We've already got things fairly well carved out. Jason is saying Dam will just be arriving in Italy on the 30th. Well, I'll keep you all posted. Patrons will get priority of anything whatever's arranged, whether it's a structured thing or a casual thing, whatever's going ahead. Patrons on the Scotch Test Dummy side and my side will be first to hear about it. So when you see the Patreon notifications coming in, I just keep your eye on it and look out for things that you might not want to miss with that. Mikey is saying he's free on Saturday the 30th. Look forward to it. Good man, Mikey. Okay, let's share this quiz with you. I was really frustrated with myself on some of these questions, but I need to be honest, and I'll try and make excuses about why I got them wrong and things. But I think you can understand. We've all been there, right? What I'm going to do is try this, see if this is still going to work. You should be able to see this. There we go. This is the first ever patron-only quiz at the end. Obviously, usually, this is for everyone. So it's going to be interesting to see the pace that this goes at. Remember, it's just the exact same thing. We don't have any prizes or anything. I think that prizes might not be the best dynamic to add to these quizzes, right? Especially when people can Google and follow and copy each other and things. It's all for good fun. You're only really challenging yourself. But it was pointed out to me when I said, oh, for the Patreon-only lives, we don't need to do quizzes and things like that. And it was pointed out to me that, well, you make the effort for the regular VPubs, and, you know, as patrons would probably, you might be surprised how much we're up for a quiz for us. So I said, okay. And I thought a great fun thing to do tonight would be to make all of these questions that are in the quiz tonight a part of my exam that I sat on Monday. And the first 6 are the 6 questions I got wrong. There you go. Okay. What Chronicles is saying, what is Bovril? It's a beef-flavoured drink, tasting of beef stock. Some people love it, some people not so much. I like it, but I have to be in the mood for it. Okay. If you're ready for the quiz, guys, eyes down. Here's the first question I got wrong at my exam on Monday night. The Robbie Dhu Spring is the water supply of where? Robbie Dhu is the water supply of A, Glenmorangie, B, Macallan, or C, Glenfiddich. I'm terrible at water sources, but Robbie Dhu is one of the most famous water supplies. And I second guessed myself, and I got this wrong. I was crestfallen. Let's see what you say. Robbie Dhu, what do you think? The Alchemist is guessing. He's guessing C, Glenfiddich. Kilted Moose is guessing A, but admitting it's a guess. That's a good thing. Mock Chronicles is guessing B, or is saying B. Donald ran C, a guess again. And Jason is saying he thinks it's Glenfiddich. You can see, okay, you can see how, especially when the answers, I mean, this was the multiple choice in the exam, by the way, was 4. I've cut one of the answers out in each of these just to fit it in with my format. But a lot of the 4th multiple choice was kind of silly things. Let's see if I can tell you what the 4th of the 3 were on this. Yeah, North British was the 4th one, a grain distillery. Okay, so we knew North British in Edinburgh wasn't going to be the Robbie Dhu Spring, but so I've cut out the kind of silly ones. But you can see why it was tough with the other 3, and I'll share with you and give yourself a point if you answered C for Glenfiddich. The Robidoux spring is a water source for Glenfiddich. I knew that, and I'm not 100% certain, but I think there's a chance that this question or a question along these lines may have mentioned that or been that direct question on the quiz on these very streams in the past. But I talked myself out of it, and I answered that it was Macallan. I know Glenmorangie, that was Turlogie Springs, and that was in another question. It was another question in the 50 questions that we had. But I answered Macallan for this, and that was very silly. Anyway, question 2. How many distilleries are owned by Inverhouse Group? The Inverhouse own A, 9 distilleries, B, 4 distilleries, or C, 5 distilleries. So I think you're getting a sense that these questions were, it's going to give you a sense what was involved in this course. And I don't think they're that easy, right? Inverhouse they're not the smallest producer, they're not the biggest, they're somewhere in the middle. Give you a clue, Inverhouse own Old Pulteney, for example. That's probably their most famous brand. But 2 or 3 of their distilleries are amongst my favourites. And I know how many distilleries Inverhouse own. And I answered the right question and then second-guessed myself because I could only name some of them. And I changed my mind. Yeah. Matthias is saying he's got no clue. Matthias, good to have you in. I understand completely. Kilted Moose is saying B, Jimmy Jazz C, B. Okay, C's and B's. You're obviously going for between the 4 and 5, right? And that was kind of the same as me. I guessed 4, got it wrong because it is in fact 5. And the one that I couldn't remember, I remembered Speyburn, I remembered Knockdhu, which is branded Anok, Balblair, Old Pulteney. And the one I forgot about was Balmainach. Completely forgot about it. Got it wrong. But I knew that. I just forgot it on the night. Here we go. Question 3. Cutty Sark is a blended Scotch whisky owned by A, Diageo, B, Berry Brothers and Rudd, or C, La Martiniquais. La Martiniquais. Martiniquais. However you want to pronounce it. La Martiniquais. Tell me, which of those companies owns Cutty Sark, one of the most recognisable blended whiskey brands in the world, with the boat and the yellow label and the green bottle, right? I was drinking lots of it in Spain with diluted heavily with soda water over summer last year. Lots of people think, Jason goes to say, never seen any Balmainach anything around here. It's very, very rarely seen. Very rarely seen. You can get Balmainachs as independent bottlings. I've seen a few SMWS bottlings of it. But yes, it's difficult to get a hold of. Jimmy Jazz, Karen, Alchemist, Whiskey Dram, Mikey Hay, Malt Chronicles. Everybody is saying B, 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 B. I answered B, and I got it wrong. And I shouldn't have got it wrong, because we know, because of a news story I shared on this very, very live stream, that La Martiniquais bought Cutty Sark from Edrington very, very recently. I think as recently as December. I haven't checked to find out when it was, but yeah, they were bought. So if you answered C for the French company La Martiniquais, you're correct. And if you were like me and decided that it was still owned by Berry Brothers and Rudd, as it once was, you're wrong. So yeah, it's another point lost from Aquavita's attempt at the exam on Monday night. Okay, let's move on to question 4, which was at launch. Oh dear, I've made a mistake here. This is my quiz question. Let's see if I can fix this quickly so I don't lose this, because this is good fun. And I checked this quiz as well before I went live. Okay, yeah, I can salvage this, don't worry. It's just that one slide that's wrong. Yeah, I've just deleted the wrong slide there. The largest pot still in Speyside are at, so that should be plural, apologies, the largest pot stills in Speyside are at A. Cragganmore, B. Glendullan, C. Glenfarclas. I did tell you I was running about the last minute to try and get things ready for tonight, right? So the largest pot stills, not in Scotland, not in whiskey, but just specifically in Speyside. Quite a hard exam, don't you think? A. Cragganmore, B. Glendullan, or C. Glenfarclas. Now, obviously, you know, these things were supposedly covered at some point in the course, but I don't remember this being mentioned at all. And I guessed. And I guessed wrong. Jason Coates thinks C, Glenfarclas. Jimmy Jazz thinks it's Cragganmore. Rico thinks it's Glendullan. Kilted Moose, C. Alchemist, C. Everybody else seems to be going with A's and B's after that. Multi-Haggis Muncher also thinks it's C for Glenfarclas. Let's have a wee look. Guys, if you said Glenfarclas, whoops, you're correct. Glenfarclas apparently have the largest stills in Speyside. You want to see what else I got wrong? Question 5. Charred casks either A, release vanillins more easily, B, allow less evaporation from the cask, obviously, C, filter faults from the spirit. So what do charred casks specifically do? A, release vanillins more easily, B, allow less evaporation, or C, filter faults from the spirit. I answered one of those and got it wrong. So it's going to be interesting because at the halfway point, like we always do, we ask your score. If it was Aquaviti and if it was Monday night sitting in that exam, I would have to admit to you that I got 0 out of 5 on these questions. And there's another question here, actually question 6, that I also got wrong as well. Everybody is answering A so far. Jason is saying C. Matthias is saying C. Jez is saying C. Everybody else is saying A. Nobody thinks it's to allow less evaporation. Okay, let's have a wee look. I answered C, that it filters faults from the spirit, and I believe that to be true. I know it to be true, but that's not what they were looking for. That's not what they were teaching, and it's not the answer they were after. They were after it releases vanillins more easily. And I should have known that because we did a whole section on it, on you know, the conversion of sugars and things, and how it releases vanillas and vanillins, vanilla notes and things into the whiskey. We covered it all, so I should have known that that was the answer. But hey ho. Malt Chronicles Bat is saying, do you realise we are all messing up to make you feel better? That's just how awesome you guys are. You're very, very considerate people. Wonderful. So tell me, after 5 questions, if you answered A there, obviously give yourself a point. And after 5, let me know how you're getting on. Rico's saying 1 out of 5, getting better. Jason is saying, how can it be wrong if it's true? I know. Let's see, because it wasn't like he gave me, you know, 1 point and I could have got 2 for it. He marked me as wrong. Yeah, it's just a straight wrong. So it wasn't one of these questions where you could answer multiple for it. Let's see, Steve A, 3 out of 5. Karen A, you're a bit behind, Karen. 3 out of 5 for Scott, 3 out of 5. Whiskey Dram, 1 out of 5, 3 out of 5, 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5, 2 out of 5. Jonathan Flowers, good to see you, and Jonathan, 2 out of 5. None of you are on a donut. Okay, Mikey Hay, 0 out of 5. You and I are the donut brothers, let's say. Somebody got the same score as me. Now, bear in mind, this was 53 potential points here, and I'm sharing with you the 5 or 6 that I actually get wrong. Yeah. Let's go on. There's another 5 questions. Let's tear through them quickly, and I can let you guys all get off to what you have to do or go to your bed or whatever. But this one coming up is the last one that I got wrong. Aspergillus nigrum, I think, is the pronunciation for that. Aspergillus nigrum. What is it? What is Aspergillus nigrum? Is it A, yeast for beer, whiskey, and wine? Is it B, fungus found on warehouse walls? Or C, Latin name for a tree from which casks are made? Really frustrated about this one because it was a part of this section I wasn't very confident about, and on the train on the way to the course on Monday night, I did a bit of revision and I swatted up on this on the train on the way in. And I got it wrong. It's annoying. And I think as you creep on into middle age, I think it's tougher to retain some facts sometimes. Everybody is, a couple of people say Jonathan Flowers thinks it's A and Juan Quintanilla thinks it's A, but most of you are saying B for the fungus found on warehouse walls. Some of you think it's yeast. Nobody seems to think it's C. Okay, let's have a wee look. Aspergillus nigrum is indeed fungus found on warehouse walls. Now, if you want to know what that actually looks like, and you've never been to a distillery and you've never walked along a distillery wall, I mean, especially one where the warehouse is whitewashed, and you just see this really kind of dark mud, brown, black fungus growing on the walls. That's Aspergillus nigrum. It's feeding from the alcohol vapors and the environment, and it grows there. If you want to see it in action, just watch any Ralphie video where he's recorded in his bothy. His walls are covered in Aspergillus nigrum. That's what's growing there because he's got casks in that bothy, and they're leaching a lot of alcohol vapor into the environment. So that was the last question I got wrong. I answered that it was a yeast. I got my Latin terms confused and chose a yeast for that. Everything else, I've shared with you all the answers I got wrong in my exam on Monday night now. Everything else I get right. As we move on to question 7, I got this one right. Which of the following are not obligatory for the spirit to be called Scotch whisky? This is harder than you think. Watch this. Not obligatory for it to be called Scotch whisky. A, bottled in Scotland. B, matured in Scotland. Or C, bottled at not less than 40%. I'm going to leave that up there because I know that some of you might need to think about this for a wee minute, and I'll watch the chat. 2 of those are carved into the legislation for Scotch whisky, and one of those is not. How tough do you think this quiz is? Maybe not as tough as a James Hope quiz, right? One of these things is not obligatory and the other 2 are. So I think there's a lot of guessing going on here. I think you guys are in the same boat as me. Okay, let me tell you that Dwayne Large, Toby Field, Mikey Hay, Captain 3D, all have got it correct. It's bottled in Scotland. And before you scream out, no, it isn't the legislation, it has to be bottled in Scotland. It's just a recent, I think it was 2009, as recently as 2009, they made the modification to the legislation that single malt whiskey, has to be bottled in Scotland. Blended whiskey does not. Blended whiskey can be exported bulk and bottled in the destination country. So there you go. Malt whiskey has to be bottled in Scotland, but not blended whiskey, or so I'm led to believe. I answered bottled in Scotland, and I got that question right. Okay, let's have a wee look at question 8. Another hard one. The world's oldest whiskey company is who? The world's oldest whiskey company. Is it A, John Walker and Son, B, John Dewar and Son, or C, John Haig and Company? So we know it's going to be a John, right? Is it Johnny Walker? Is it Dewar's? Or is it Haig? A for Johnny Walker, B for John Dewar, and C for John Haig. Kind of tricky. We did cover this though, so I was That spring bank has come round. Added a couple of scooshes of water to it and it started to get really quite nice. I'm going to open something else now, just to finish up. And again, I can see that you guys are a wee bit all over the place here. Nick Keane is saying J for John. Matthias is saying, I guess John. John Daniels. Yeah. Okay, let's see. How many of you, let's see. Jezbati, Toby Field, Rico, and Karen all guessed correctly by guessing John Haig. The oldest by some margin, quite a margin. I think the original John Haig can trace its trading back to the 17th century. Quite amazing. Question 9, only 2 left to go. What is the maximum cask strength to which spirit can be distilled if it's to become Scotch whisky? This is like a fundamental, but I thought I'd throw it in there. What is the maximum cask strength the spirit can be distilled if it's to become Scotch whisky? Is it A, 63.5% ABV, B, 94.8% ABV, or C, 98.4% ABV? Obviously, the reason that we know that distillation can even occur is that the alcohol vapors boil off before water. But we want to know at which point is the limit set for Scotch whisky distillation. And I think beyond this point, it's believed that it'll become basically neutral spirit and it'll start to lose all of its flavour. Yeah, I think you've got this one. Captain 3D says Deepa, says B. I think you should follow Deepa. Everybody that's answered the same as Deepa and answered B, you're absolutely correct. 94.8% ABV. Like I said, a fundamental. Kilted Moose says he's typing on an iPad. Scott, there's nothing worse. It's murder. You should try doing it on your phone. It's even worse. Watching a live stream and trying to interact with the chat is just terrible. Karen is saying, wee, lucky guess. Good for you, Karen. And the final question, okay, and I want you to share your scores. I mean, honestly, just be honest and let me know how you got on. The last question tonight is, what is the name of the most westerly Scottish whisky distillery? This is in terms, of course, in, you know, actually the furthest west. A, Bladnoch, B, Kilchoman, C, Avinjarrick. A, Bladnoch, B, Kilchoman, C, Avinjarrick. Do you want me to leave those up there so you can ponder? Alchemist Sevi saying, can't believe Haig is the oldest in the world, yet they're happy to release that hogwash clubman. Yeah. It wasn't great. It was drinkable. And you know what? If you're going to throw it in the bottom of some ice or lemonade, you can get past it. Just adds a whiskey flavour to some things. Karen, you seem to be quite a wee bit behind. You're answering 94.8%. You could do with refreshing your browser when that starts happening if you find that there's a lag. Everybody seems to think it's Avinjarrick. Let's have a wee look. The furthest westerly Scotch whisky distillery is, of course, Avinjarrick, which is stuck out away out there in the Outer Hebrides on the island of Lewis. Tiny wee distillery. Marco Taylor's project. There we go. So what do we have, guys? Share your scores as I pour. So I'll get something to say thank you to you all for your fantastic support. 150 patrons in a year. It was February last year that I started Patreon, and I felt a wee bit bullied into it because I didn't feel fully ready. But obviously you've proven me wrong. I think it's a wonderful concept. I should have done it earlier because I was supporting other channels through Patreon. I wasn't on there as a creator. And I'm very, very, very happy I did. And it's a wonderful environment and place to hang out with you guys as well. And I always talk about doing more on Patreon, and I do mean that. I try to do quite a bit. Even when I post a paid-for creation or a video or something, you know, I try to kind of do a little mini blog underneath it as well to kind of share topical things, how I'm feeling, whatever it might be. But I need to do a wee bit more. I think I need to do some more Patreon exclusive content. I would like to do a Patreon stream every month. I do enjoy these kind of laid back streams. If you don't mind it being a wee bit sloppier, a wee bit more informal, a wee bit more laid back, feedback to me and let me know what you'd like to see in the Patreon only streams. As I see how you scored, 5 out of 10, pass mark for Rico. Not bad. Is that your first ever quiz then? I think it was a tricky one. I think it was quite difficult. Matthias, 5 out of 10 as well. Again, a pass mark. Deepa wants more questions. I tell you what, I might share my entire exam paper with you. In fact, I won't do, Phil, because there's gold in here. There's questions in here for future. When I'm dry and I'm struggling to come up with questions for the quiz, I'll dig into my John Lamond exam paper for inspiration. Donald got 7 out of 10, good score, Donald. Toby and Malt Chronicles Bart, 5 out of 10, as well as Dwayne, 5 out of 10 as well. Dwayne, that's quite a low score for you, I think, is compared to normal. Maybe a tougher quiz tonight. Andreas, 7 out of 10, good score. Is 7 out of 10 going to be the best? Nick Keane, you know, there's a distillery called Nick Nean, Nick, and your name is almost the same as that distillery, Nick Nean. It's a new distillery. It's not got any product you can taste yet. I'm not even sure it's producing spirit. I think it might be producing spirit now. Scott gets 6 out of 10. James Hope also gets 6 out of 10. He's triumphant that it's a pass. Very good as well. Whiskey Dram, 3 out of 10. I think it was tough, honestly. 5 out of 10. 4 out of 10 for Steve A. Jonathan Flowers, 5. Aaron Fault, 5. Jason Coates, 7 out of 10. But I dispute the charred cask answer. I kind of did as well, but I was told to shush. And he's got a point, because I mean the exam's about what you've been taught. You know, incidental benefits from the fact that charcoal and cask charring can clean up certain elements from the spirit is incidental, and they can't always design exactly what's going to happen there. So the answer is that charring the cask releases a lot of the vanillins. I just had to go with it. Jimmy Jazz, 4 out of 10. Mikey Hay, 4 out of 10. The Alchemist, 7 out of 10. Fantastic. Sevi, good score. Karen, 5 out of 10. Still a pass mark, Karen. Well done. Jason Coates, 5 out of 10. Is a total fail in US schools. This is not a US school. This is a whiskey community. You're not required to be an expert. 5 out of 10 is a pass mark here. And even if you didn't pass, I really believe that tonight's some of these questions were tough. The first 6 questions I think were particularly difficult, right? I'm actually really annoyed. I could have done so much better just with a wee bit more care. Yeah, isn't it always the way? A wee bit more patience, a wee bit more thought. I could have, just as an enthusiast, not being there as somebody from the industry, I could have been in the top with the top 3 in the class, right? Maybe next time. James is saying, best get to bed. Thanks, Aquaviti, for a great stream. And thanks for the whiskey. I don't think it's been just kind of a comfortable stream, I think, for me. Just a nice little hangout. You have to read my next comment to get my point, Roy. Okay. You were told to shush because you were correct. Yeah. On the curve. 5 out of 10 is solid. Yes. Bart's saying that's the problem with exams right there. I should get cut off your Patron check for being pushy and a pain to you. Just joking. You deserve more for your whiskey evangelism. Jez, you were patron. I think you tried your hardest to be my first ever patron, and I think Vin beat you to it. It was just a pure timing thing. Wonderful. Thanks. You've been a patron of me for a year now, Jez. I don't know if that's going fast for you, but I'm very, very grateful. As I've said before, I think it was in the last lock-in I mentioned. But if I'm canny with my funds this year, I should be able to support the channel this year. And when I say support the channel, I'm talking about trips and whiskey purchases. I should be able to, no, that's not true, because I've been silly with some whiskey purchases and things and squirreling things away. But I'm speaking about in terms of what I share with you and what I use for the channel, and also trips that will help support the channel as well. I'll be able to recover my costs. And that's amazing to me that can happen. It's amazing I can fulfill this passion and share these things with you, and you guys are willing to contribute. It's really, really wonderful. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. It's coming up for, wow, over an hour and a half. And it's been a really, really nice night. I hope you enjoy these kind of more informal things. My next live stream could be on the 14th of March. Just watch for the announcements. It may have to slip to something like the Sunday. And then following that will be the 28th of March as well. And then I'm really, really going to keep every finger and every toe crossed that I can achieve a really nice collaboration that I'd like to do on the 30th of March, a special VPub, if you like, on Saturday the 30th. Save the date. I'm going to raise this glass that I've poured. I don't even remember who it's from, so my sample point I made at the start of the show is still valid. I'm going to guess this is from Martin. Maybe Blissful Mr. D. I think he might have sent me this. This is a Glengarry 15, 53.7% cast strength. All are also matured Glengarry. I've already had a sip of it. It's gorgeous. And I'll raise the glass to say thank you to all my patrons. I hope you enjoy what you're doing here. If you start to not enjoy it, please feedback to me why, because I would like to keep it always fun. And I'd like to say thank you to you all. And I'll see you on the next one. Slàinte mhath, folks. Thank you.